This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by Netflix. Just when you thought money had corrupted our political system as much as it possibly could, the Republicans are here to the rescue to prove you wrong and show you how much more it could be corrupted. So the man in charge of this effort is a lawyer by the name of James Bopp. Now, if you are familiar with the corrupting influence of money, he's actually an old school corrupter. He's been doing this for a long time. He's the guy who came up with the 527s back in the beginning of 2000, 2001, etc. And at the time, the Democrats fought it. Now everybody does 527s. That's outside money that pours in to basically buy our politicians. He came up with that. Of course, he did it for the Republicans. And he's the one that pushed the Citizens United case. So this guy has been a disaster for the country. And he's got a brilliant new idea. It's called a Super-Duper PAC. It's not just a political action committee, a PAC. It's a super PAC that allows not only to raise outside money that is unlimited, as Citizens United allows for, but he wants to bring in politicians to do the fundraising. And he wants to earmark the money, if they want to, for that specific politician. So, to give you a sense of how this works, so if John Boehner wanted to raise money from a regular citizen, John Doe, so of course it wouldn't be John Doe, it would be probably an executive at JP Morgan, right, or at ExxonMobil. He could only get $2,500 from him. Now, because of Citizens United, they still can't give money directly to John Boehner above that, but they could spend it on their own in that race, or they can give it to a different group, okay, because of Citizens United. Well, what this does is, this proposal, is you bring John Boehner in, and he says to that John Doe executive, he says, instead of giving me $2,500, give me $250,000. But don't give it directly to me. Give it to the super PAC. And the super PAC will then say, if you want, spend it only on John Boehner's race. The only thing is, because of the law, you're not allowed to coordinate with John Boehner. Who cares, right? So the Republican super PAC would come in and go, oh, we're not coordinating with John Boehner. We just happen to spend all the money pulverizing his opponent. Ran like 1 million negative ads against him. So then basically all of the rules that exist right now, the very little rules left, are obliterated. They can spend unlimited amount of money raised by politicians for politicians, and then a guy like John Boehner knows, hey, I'm not just getting $2,500 here and $2,500 there. I know that company is putting in $1 million or $10 million to make sure I get reelected. Now, what do you think John Boehner is going to do? He's going to work for them. He's going to do whatever they tell him to do. Now, he already does that to a large extent anyway, but this makes it even bigger and more grotesque and with absolutely no check on it. Now, some are complaining that this would be, parts of it would be illegal. James Bopp says, hey, look, we cannot coordinate the spending, but we can coordinate the fundraising. And he might have a decent argument there, given Citizens United and given that we have a completely right-wing Supreme Court that it'll say yes to any unlimited money case, right? But there are other aspects of it that might be wrong in terms of how they spend the money, and it can really be unlimited money that goes into these campaigns, et cetera, right? That gets into the details of the law. But here's what Bopp thinks, and he says it. He's like, what difference does it make? First of all, I'll just do this anyway, and we'll win the election, and then we'll worry about it later. Now, that part is implied. And the second part he just flat out says, which is, well, I'd love to take it to the Supreme Court. So let's go to the Supreme Court. They'll rule for me anyway. They're conservatives. They're in my back pocket. Why do you think we filled the Supreme Court? He doesn't say this part. But why do you think they filled the Supreme Court with all those conservative corporatist judges? It's so that they will rule in favor of the corporations. And the corporations will spend this money and they'll buy our politicians for a very cheap price and then get billions and billions, as they do now, in subsidies, loopholes. They won't have to pay their taxes, etc. And then they'll cut your Medicare, your Social Security, they'll increase your payroll taxes, etc., and make the middle class pay and make sure that the corporations are untouched. So if you thought it was bad before, wait till they unleash the super PAC. We're in massive trouble. The only answer is a full-scale rebellion. Okay, I don't mean physically. I don't mean with arms like the right-wingers. I mean politically. We have got to get together a merry band of men that is going to rebel against this. We got to go state by state. If we have to pass an amendment. Corporations are not human beings. They should not have the freedom of speech that human beings have. They should not have special rights. Right now they have special rights. You know that a corporation is a legal fiction. It's an entity created by the government, funny enough. And it says that the people that run the corporation, or even the shareholders, are not necessarily responsible for the actions of the corporation. So that is a special right that they have, right? So if they pollute the river and somebody dies from that pollution, as an example, they're not criminally responsible. Not the shareholders, not necessarily the executives, etc. That's the special rights that they have. On top of that, they get all of your rights and more. They get freedom of speech, so-called freedom of speech, to spend money to buy politicians, and they have the gobs of money you don't have to buy those politicians. These corporations are the Borg. They think resistance is futile. They are taking over, and their complete conquest is nearly finished. That's why we need a rebellion, and we need to get together and fight against this big money. Otherwise, we will have entirely lost our democracy. Get a load of Netflix. They deliver the movie to your house, no late charges, free shipping.
You can watch thousands of movies or TV shows straight on your PC or on your television through a gaming console.
Netflix.com/TYT. Free trial membership. You get Netflix all over you.